James, CEO of Catalyst Metals, thank you for coming to Rapallo. I'm Simon Catt from Arlington. What a pleasure to have you here in the Riviera.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Simon. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Pleasure. I think you've come through Denver and Beaver Creek. What was the mood there?
Yeah, look, interesting time, I suppose. If you're producing cash at the moment, it's probably a bit easier. Things are a bit tough out there for developers, and I think cycles comes in different ways in this industry. At the moment, we're seeing a cycle for us producers, and despite the amount of money that's around, it probably hasn't filtered down to the explorers and developers. So that makes it hard for them. I spent a lot of time in that part of the world, the junior end of the market, and you need to respect it. And at the same time, I think probably could offer an opportunity for groups like ourselves and others that are probably doing okay on the balance sheet side of things.
So James, I have watched your principal asset, the Plutonic gold mine, for some decades now. I think your old man used to own it at some point when he ran Normandy Mining. And I watched the Canadians, who seem to be like absentee landlords, the prior owners of the mine. So I have to admit, as being surprised that you've turned around a tough old mine and you've actually made some cash. How did you do it?
It's a question we get asked a bit, and I think first and foremost, with any turnaround in this industry, you have to be sceptical. It'd be silly to think a first-time chief executive could have stepped into something like that, and we needed to build credibility, and I think what we tried to do was not really talk for the first 9-12 months, and we tried to really let the numbers speak for themselves. And the way we got to those numbers was I suppose three key things is the way we talk about it internally. We got to those numbers through number one, having a correct foundation. We went and found the best mines that we could to fix a resource that we felt was broken. Once we had that platform and we had a strong foundation, we then got in a new management team that had better planning and accountability qualities. The mine had been run, as you say, as an absentee landlord, so accountability was getting people to show up, building a vision and people to buy into that, and then actually making sure that people were held accountable for those targets. And if they didn't do that, then we all had to come together and say that they probably weren't for us, and so allowed us to hit the numbers. And then finally planning. I think we probably did some quite strategic things on planning that allowed us to do things that the predecessors couldn't. So those three key things: good foundation, good accountability, and better planning.
Nice. So how far through the rehabilitation of Plutonic and the growth of Plutonic and that regional picture are we through?
Yeah, we think we're really just at the early stages of it. I think, Simon, it's the belt has never been owned by an Australian team before, and it's never had one geological team focus on it for an extended period. We think that's unique. Now, to people new to the industry, that might not seem like such a big thing, but these things do take time in our industry, and you need people dedicated for quite an extended period. And we don't have to run off for capital. So this year we'll spend $25 million on exploration. We don't need to spend any time running around raising that money. We just need to spend time trying to work out how we're going to design those programs for the best result. A junior or a developer today, would spend 50-80% of their time trying to raise money. So, I think that is an enormous advantage for us, and we're very excited about it. We actually did it for the exploration, not for the production side of things. So, if our market cap today is about 600 million, it gives you an idea of how much value we think is in that belt from an exploration standpoint.
And how do I think about Catalyst from a valuation point of view? 600 million Aussie dollar market cap. What kind of cash might you generate out of your two gold mines this year? Yeah,
we last year, we try and talk about things that we've done as opposed to what we're going to do.
Right.
Last year we generated $50 million of free cash flow, and that was at a $3,000 gold price. So, today we're at sort of 3,800 or thereabouts, and production is much more stable today. So, you can see us really increasing that, 70, 80, 100 million type numbers. That is, we think that the belt has a very capital light profile, and this.
Why is that?
Well, the water is very clean at Plutonic, so you don't face the same corrosive issues that you do at most of the goldfields elsewhere. It's a very unique quality. De Grassa next door to us was the same. And so the plant really doesn't require much. And then we're also not developing out to an existing, pre-existing ore body, so there's no capital to go in to then get that gold. We are just mining from the existing platform that's there. So really it's quite a steady state operation today, and we're in what we'd probably term as a harvest mode at present, yeah.
And do we see more gold being produced from Plutonic in 2025 than 24?
Yeah, I suppose the last 2 weeks we've been in North America, Beaver Creek and Denver, and the reason for doing that roadshow was because we think we're going to take production from 100,000 ounces to 200,000 ounces, and we'll be able to do that for a cost of $30 million Australian. Wow. The low capital intensity, I suppose, reinforces the last point that I made, in that 2 of those mines already have declines down into them. So time and capital to get there is far less than what it might be for other operations in WA. We see that as a significant benefit to us. So $30 million and really self-funded as well. So that's
are there any additional resources you need to double production that you haven't already got in the group?
It's all based on the existing reserves. We announced 1 million ounces of reserves a bit over a week ago, and that really forms the foundation for that growth from 100 to 200,000 ounces.
And the team have got the capability as you've already employed?
Yeah, we don't need any more mill capacity, so hence the lower production. We are opening up our second mine now with the team that we've got. That senior management team has opened up 22 portals in their through the course of their career. So, I think from an experience standpoint, number one, we've proven that we can lift production up. We're doing 50% better than the previous predecessors. And having that experience is we think a good foundation to take that next step to open up these deposits. We'll backfill with some people, but we sit there and get the best people out of Plutonic, and we try and put them into these new mines, and then we backfill it through our usual recruitment avenues.
The Henty Mine, so critical mass is in West Australia. I'm going to ask you how long you spent on site in West Australia, but Henty's in Tasmania. Is that going to be in the company forever, or is that just a staging post to a future point in time when you don't own that? Yeah,
a question we get asked a lot after buying Plutonic and the surrounding belt, which is obviously really the most meaningful asset in our portfolio. I think gold companies is very much about building a company. It is very difficult to explore and develop your way to success. The risk profile with that is significant, whereas I think what Catalyst has done a reasonable job of to date is about building a company. You can't rely on just one tool in the box. You need a number of them, and so buying, exploring, developing, you need them all. And we do need to, as the business grows and as we build it, understand where our resources are best spent. So we do sit there and talk in this market about a rising gold price and how that relates to an asset like Henty, which is probably becoming less core to our business. But then again, not everyone will necessarily see the value in it that we do. So, I think at the right price, everything's for sale, Simon. We wouldn't be businessmen if that wasn't the case. And as we get our resources, our dollars are probably better spent at Plutonic. And so whether or not that means that we'll look to move Henty on is there's a number of things that need to come for a head for that to be able to happen. But certainly it's a question we get asked frequently.
Gotcha. Nicely dodged. James, I recall seeing your father presenting at Kalgoorlie at a Diggers and Dealers about 20 years ago. And there was really no better known entrepreneur in the mining business in Australia than Robert. Are you a chip off the old block? How ambitious are you compared to what your father built with Normandy Mining?
Look, I think I was very fortunate in the family that I grew up in, and to me, he was just a father. He wasn't a businessman. He wasn't whatever other people might have the perceptions on. He was just a father and a very special friend. And sure, as you grow, these things become more apparent to you. But in our family, it has been very much about feeding yourself, and you have to focus on that. So, as strange as it might seem, it's not actually ever even entered my thought process. It is very much just like anyone else, I suppose, trying to get out there and feed themselves, and that's the aim.
Nice. And Normandy was really built through acquisition. Is acquisition on your agenda for growth?
Yeah, I suppose to that point of building a company, it has to be. You need to be putting yourself, we think, in very prospective gold belts. We think we do have three very prospective gold belts. Bendigo and Plutonic particularly, and Henty as well. So you can't be a one-trick pony. You can't have just one arrow in your quiver. So M&A certainly has to be a part of it, but that's not to ignore exploration and development. And I suppose that's why we've taken the step this year to bring 4 new mines online over the next 12 to 18 months.
Gotcha. Good. James, thank you for coming to Rapalo. Looking forward to hearing from you tomorrow in session, and I invite you to enjoy the sunshine.
Thank you very much for having me, son.